Are you caught in a never-ending cycle of trying to fix yourself? Do you feel like there's always something more to heal, another layer to peel back, another issue to resolve? If so, you're not alone. Many of us find ourselves trapped in this exhausting loop of constant self-improvement, always striving to be better, healthier, or more whole. But what if I told you that this cycle itself might be holding you back from truly living and experiencing life to its fullest? Today, we're diving deep into the world of endless healing and discovering how to break free from its grip. Imagine you're on a treadmill. You're running and running, thinking you're making progress, but you're actually staying in the same spot. That's what endless healing can feel like. You're always working on yourself, always trying to get better, but somehow you never quite feel like you've arrived. It's like being stuck in a waiting room, constantly preparing for a life that never quite begins. This cycle can be incredibly frustrating. You might feel like you're never good enough as you are, that there's always something wrong that needs fixing. It's exhausting, isn't it? Always analyzing yourself, always on the lookout for the next thing to improve. And the worst part, this constant focus on healing can actually hold you back from living your best life. Think about it. When you're always in healing mode, you're living in a state of constant self-criticism. You're essentially telling yourself, I'm not okay as I am. I need to be fixed. This mindset can be a hidden trap, keeping you from fully embracing life and all its experiences. It's like you're waiting to start living until you're healed or fixed. But life is happening right now, all around you. While you're focused on healing, you might be missing out on joy, growth, and meaningful connections. It's a bit like spending so much time preparing for a journey that you never actually set out on the adventure. So why do we get stuck in this cycle of endless healing? Well, for one, it can feel safe and familiar. When you're always working on yourself, you have a clear focus and purpose. It gives you something to do, a way to feel productive. And let's face it, sometimes it's easier to focus on fixing ourselves than to face the uncertainties and challenges of life. Think about it like this. If you're always in healing mode, you have a ready-made excuse for not taking risks or putting yourself out there. I'm not ready yet, you might tell yourself. I need to work on myself more first. It becomes a comfortable hiding place, a way to avoid the scary parts of life. Another reason we get stuck is simply habit. In today's world, there's a huge emphasis on self-improvement. We're bombarded with messages telling us we need to be better, do more, achieve greater things. It's easy to fall into the habit of constantly working on ourselves. This habit can become so ingrained that we don't even question it anymore. We just automatically assume there's always something about ourselves that needs fixing. It becomes our default mode, like brushing our teeth or checking our phones. We do it without even thinking about it. And let's not forget about the huge self-help industry that's grown up around this idea of constant improvement. There's always a new book, course, or program promising to help you become your best self. While many of these resources can be helpful, they can also feed into the belief that you're never quite good enough as you are. It's like being on a hamster wheel of self-help. You read one book, try one technique, and then move on to the next, always searching for that magic solution that will finally make you feel whole and complete. But here's the thing. That feeling of completeness isn't something you can find in a book or a course. It's something that comes from within. Now let's talk about the hidden cost of always trying to heal. First and foremost, it's emotionally exhausting. When you're constantly focused on what's wrong with you or what needs to be fixed, it can lead to a chronic state of stress and anxiety. Imagine you had a friend who was always pointing out your flaws, always telling you that you needed to be better. How would that make you feel? Probably pretty lousy, right? Well, that's essentially what you're doing to yourself when you're stuck in the cycle of endless healing. You're your own harshest critic, never giving yourself a break. This constant self criticism can lead to feelings of inadequacy and low self esteem. You might start to believe that you're fundamentally broken or flawed, and that belief can be incredibly damaging to your mental and emotional well being. Another big cost of endless healing is that you might miss out on actually living your life. When you're always focused on fixing yourself, you're not fully present in the moment. You're not fully engaging with the world around you. Think about all the experiences you might be missing out on because you don't feel ready or healed enough. Maybe you're putting off pursuing a dream career because you feel like you need to work on your confidence first. Or perhaps you're avoiding relationships because you think you need to heal all your emotional wounds before you can connect with someone. But here's the truth. Life doesn't wait for you to feel perfectly healed. Opportunities come and go. And if you're always waiting until you feel fixed, you might miss out on some amazing experiences. There's also a paradox at play here. The more you focus on trying to fix yourself, the more broken you might feel. It's like shining a spotlight on all your perceived flaws and shortcomings. The more intensely you look, the more problems you're likely to find. This can create a vicious cycle. You focus on healing, which makes you feel more broken, which makes you think you need more healing, and on it goes. It's exhausting, and it can prevent you from recognizing and appreciating all the good qualities you already possess. When you're always focused on what needs fixing, you might overlook your strengths and positive qualities. It's like having a beautiful garden but only ever noticing the weeds. You might have amazing talents, wonderful personality traits, and unique gifts to offer the world. But if you're always in healing mode, you might not give these strengths the attention they deserve. This neglect of your positive qualities can hold you back in life. Instead of leveraging your strengths to pursue your goals and dreams, you might be too busy trying to fix your perceived weaknesses. It's a bit like trying to run a race while constantly looking backward. You're not going to make much progress. There's another aspect to this endless healing cycle that's worth considering. It can give us the illusion of control. In a world that often feels chaotic and unpredictable, focusing on self-improvement can make us feel like we're doing something, like we're in control of our lives. But here's the thing. Life is inherently uncertain. No matter how much we work on ourselves, we can't control everything that happens to us. By focusing all our energy on trying to fix ourselves, we might be avoiding the important task of learning to navigate life's uncertainties and challenges. Sometimes, we get so used to the identity of someone who's working on themselves that we become afraid of what it might mean to stop. What would it mean to accept ourselves as we are? What would we do with our time if we weren't constantly trying to heal or improve? This fear can keep us stuck in the cycle, even when it's no longer serving us. We might worry that if we stop actively trying to heal, we'll somehow regress or lose all the progress we've made. But that's not how it works. The growth and insights you've gained don't disappear just because you stop actively pursuing healing. For many people, the cycle of endless healing is rooted in past trauma or difficult experiences. If you've been hurt in the past, it's natural to want to make sure you're healed before fully engaging with life again. You might feel like you need to fix everything that's happened to you before you can move forward. But here's a tough truth. We don't need to be completely healed from all our past hurts to live a fulfilling life. In fact, waiting until we feel totally healed might mean waiting forever. Our past experiences shape us, but they don't have to define us or hold us back from living in the present. In our society, there's often an underlying pressure to be perfect. We see carefully curated images of other people's lives on social media, and we might feel like we need to measure up. This can feed into the cycle of endless healing, We're always striving to be better, to be perfect. But perfection is an impossible goal. We're human, and being human means being beautifully imperfect. When we chase perfection through endless healing and self-improvement, we're setting ourselves up for disappointment and frustration. There's a pervasive myth in the world of self-help and personal growth. The idea that there's a final destination, a point at which we'll be fully healed and have everything figured out. This myth can keep us trapped in the cycle of endless healing, always striving for that elusive end point. But the truth is, there is no arrival. Life is a journey of continuous growth and learning. We don't suddenly become fixed or complete. Instead, we evolve, we learn, we grow. But we do this through living, not through endless healing. Now, this doesn't mean that all self-improvement or healing work is bad. Not at all. It's good to want to grow and become the best version of yourself. The problem comes when this becomes an endless cycle that prevents you from fully living and accepting yourself as you are right now. The key is to find a balance between self-acceptance and growth. It's about recognizing that you are worthy and valuable exactly as you are right now, while also being open to natural growth and evolution. It's not about forcing change or constantly trying to fix yourself, but about allowing yourself to grow organically through your experiences. One of the biggest casualties of the endless healing cycle is our ability to be present in the moment. When we're always focused on fixing ourselves, we're either dwelling on the past, trying to heal old wounds, or anxious about the future, worried about whether we'll ever be good enough. But life happens in the present moment. It's right here, right now. When we're caught up in endless healing, we miss out on the richness of our current experiences. We might fail to notice the beauty around us, the love we're being offered, or the opportunities that are presenting themselves. Learning to be present, to fully engage with life as it is right now, can be a powerful antidote to the cycle of endless healing. It's about shifting our focus from what's wrong or what needs to be fixed to what's right in front of us. Breaking free from the cycle of endless healing takes courage. It requires us to face one of our deepest fears, the fear that we're not enough as we are. It asks us to embrace our imperfections, to be vulnerable, to show up in the world as our authentic selves, flaws and all. This can be scary. We might worry about what others will think of us if we're not constantly striving to be better. We might fear that we'll be rejected or judged if we show our true selves. But here's the thing. Authenticity is far more attractive and powerful than perfection. When we have the courage to be imperfect, to be real, we open ourselves up to deeper connections, more meaningful experiences, and a greater sense of peace and contentment. We free up the energy we were using to constantly fix ourselves, and we can redirect that energy into living fully and joyfully. There's a big difference between endless healing and genuine self-discovery. Endless healing comes from a place of lack, the belief that something is wrong and needs to be fixed. Self-discovery, on the other hand, comes from a place of curiosity and openness. When we shift from endless healing to self-discovery, we open ourselves up to joy and wonder. Instead of always looking for what's wrong, we can explore who we are with a sense of adventure. We can learn about ourselves not to fix perceived flaws, but to understand and appreciate our unique qualities and experiences. This approach to self-discovery is much more sustainable and fulfilling than endless healing. It allows us to grow and evolve naturally, without the pressure of always needing to be better. What if I told you that you're already whole? That right now, in this very moment, you are complete, worthy, and enough? This might sound strange, especially if you've been caught in the cycle of endless healing for a long time, but it's true. You don't need to be fixed because you're not broken. This new perspective is about shifting from a mindset of lack to one of abundance. Instead of always looking for what's wrong or what needs to be healed, we start to recognize and appreciate all that's right with us. It's about acknowledging that we are complex, multifaceted beings with both strengths and challenges, joys and sorrows. And all of these aspects make us who we are. Think about a beautiful tapestry. It's made up of many different threads, some bright and some dark, some smooth and some rough. But it's the combination of all these threads that creates the beautiful overall picture. You're like that tapestry. Your experiences, your qualities, even your perceived flaws, they all come together to make you uniquely you. Self-acceptance is at the heart of this new perspective. But let's be clear. Self-acceptance doesn't mean giving up on growth or improvement. It's not about saying, well, this is just how I am, so I'll never change. Instead, it's about acknowledging and accepting yourself as you are right now, while remaining open to natural growth and evolution. When you accept yourself, you create a foundation of self-love and self-respect. From this foundation, any changes or growth you experience come from a place of love rather than fear or self-criticism. It's the difference between forcing a flower to grow by pulling on it, which doesn't work and can damage the plant, and providing it with the right conditions to grow naturally. Self-acceptance can feel challenging at first, especially if you're used to being hard on yourself. But it's a skill that can be developed over time. Start by acknowledging your thoughts and feelings without judgment. Recognize that having flaws or making mistakes doesn't make you any less worthy or valuable as a person. With this new perspective, we need to redefine what healing means. Instead of seeing it as a process of fixing what's broken, we can view it as a journey of self-discovery and growth. Healing becomes less about changing who you are and more about uncovering and embracing your true self. This approach to healing is gentler and more sustainable. It doesn't require you to constantly push or force yourself to change. Instead, it's about creating the conditions for natural growth and allowing yourself to unfold at your own pace. One of the most powerful tools for breaking the cycle of endless healing is mindfulness. Mindfulness is simply the practice of being aware of the present moment without judgment. It's about observing your thoughts, feelings, and experiences without getting caught up in them or trying to change them. When you practice mindfulness, you start to create some space between yourself and your thoughts. You begin to realize that you are not your thoughts. You're the observer of your thoughts. This can be incredibly freeing, especially if you're used to being caught up in self-critical or anxious thinking. Start small with mindfulness. You don't need to meditate for hours every day. Begin by taking a few minutes each day to simply sit and observe your breath. Notice the sensation of the air moving in and out of your body. When your mind wanders, and it will, that's normal, gently bring your attention back to your breath. As you become more comfortable with mindfulness, you can expand this practice to other areas of your life. Try to bring mindful awareness to everyday activities like eating, walking, or even washing the dishes. Notice the sensations, the smells, the sounds. This practice can help you become more present in your life and less caught up in the cycle of endless healing. Self-compassion is another crucial step in breaking free from endless healing. Many of us are much harder on ourselves than we would ever be on a friend. We criticize ourselves harshly, hold ourselves to impossible standards, and beat ourselves up when we make mistakes. Self-compassion is about treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer to a good friend. There are three main components to self-compassion: self-kindness, common humanity, and mindfulness. Self-kindness involves being gentle and understanding with yourself rather than harshly critical. Common humanity reminds us that everyone struggles and makes mistakes. It's part of being human. And mindfulness, as we discussed earlier, helps us observe our thoughts and feelings without getting caught up in them. To practice self-compassion, try talking to yourself as you would to a dear friend. When you're facing a challenge or feeling down, ask yourself, what would I say to a friend in this situation? Then offer those same kind and supportive words to yourself. Another powerful self-compassion practice is the self-compassion break. When you're feeling stressed or upset, take a moment to acknowledge your suffering. This is a moment of difficulty. Remind yourself of your common humanity. Suffering is a part of life. And offer yourself kindness. May I be kind to myself in this moment. Setting boundaries is an essential skill for breaking the cycle of endless healing. Boundaries are the limits we set with others and ourselves about what behaviors we will and won't accept. They're crucial for maintaining our mental and emotional well-being. When we're caught in the cycle of endless healing, we often have poor boundaries. We might say yes to things we don't really want to do, allow others to treat us poorly, or push ourselves beyond our limits in an attempt to prove our worth. Learning to set healthy boundaries involves recognizing your own needs and limits and communicating them clearly to others. It's about saying no when you need to, asking for what you want, and respecting your own time and energy. Start by paying attention to how you feel in different situations and with different people. Notice when you feel drained, uncomfortable, or resentful. These feelings often indicate that a boundary needs to be set. Then, practice expressing your needs and limits clearly and respectfully. Remember, setting boundaries isn't selfish. It's an act of self-respect and self-care. When you have healthy boundaries, you create the space and energy you need to truly thrive. Spirituality can play a significant role in breaking the cycle of endless healing. Now, when we talk about spirituality, we're not necessarily talking about organized religion, though that can be part of it for some people. Spirituality is about connecting with something larger than yourself, whether that's nature, the universe, a higher power, or simply your own inner wisdom. One of the most powerful aspects of spirituality is that it can help you find a sense of inner peace. When you're always trying to heal or fix yourself, you're in a constant state of striving and dissatisfaction. Spirituality, on the other hand, often emphasizes acceptance, surrender, and trust in the natural flow of life. Many spiritual practices, such as meditation or prayer, can help you cultivate a sense of inner calm and contentment. These practices can help you tap into a part of yourself that is always whole and complete, regardless of your external circumstances or perceived flaws. Another way spirituality can help break the cycle of endless healing is by shifting your focus away from yourself and towards something larger. When we're caught up in trying to fix ourselves, our world can become very small and self-centered. We're constantly focused on our own problems, flaws, and shortcomings. Spirituality encourages us to zoom out and see the bigger picture. It reminds us that we're part of something much larger than ourselves, whether that's the natural world, the cosmos, or a spiritual community. This perspective can be incredibly freeing. It helps us realize that our personal struggles, while important, are not the entirety of who we are or what life is about. This connection to something larger can also provide a sense of purpose and meaning. Instead of constantly trying to fix yourself, you might find yourself drawn to serve others, contribute to your community, or care for the environment. This outward focus can be a powerful antidote to the self-absorption of endless healing. Many spiritual traditions emphasize the importance of embracing mystery and uncertainty. This can be particularly helpful when breaking free from the cycle of endless healing. When we're always trying to fix ourselves, we often operate under the illusion that if we just try hard enough, we can control everything about our lives and ourselves. Spirituality reminds us that there's much we don't understand and can't control. It encourages us to cultivate trust in the unfolding of life rather than trying to force everything to conform to our plans or expectations. This doesn't mean becoming passive or fatalistic, but rather learning to flow with life rather than constantly fighting against it. Embracing mystery and uncertainty can be scary at first, especially if you're used to trying to control everything, but it can also be incredibly liberating. It allows you to let go of the exhausting task of trying to make everything perfect and instead opens you up to the wonder and surprise of life. To really understand the power of breaking free from endless healing, let's look at Sarah's story. Sarah was a lot like many of us, always striving to be better, always working on herself. She had a bookshelf full of self-help books, attended workshops regularly, and was constantly trying new healing techniques. On the surface, it seemed like Sarah was doing all the right things. She was committed to personal growth and healing. But despite all her efforts, she never felt truly happy or at peace. There was always another issue to work on, another aspect of herself that needed fixing. Sarah's turning point came when she attended a retreat led by a spiritual teacher. The teacher looked at her and said, "What if there's nothing wrong with you? What if you're already whole and complete, just as you are?" At first, Sarah dismissed this idea. After all, she had spent years working on herself. Surely there was still more to do. But as the retreat went on, Sarah began to see things differently. She realized that all her efforts to heal and improve herself had actually been keeping her stuck in a cycle of self-criticism and dissatisfaction. She had been so focused on becoming a better version of herself that she had missed out on fully living and enjoying her life as it was. With this new understanding, Sarah began to make changes. Instead of always looking for what was wrong, she started to appreciate what was right in her life. She practiced self-compassion, treating herself with the same kindness she would offer a good friend. And she learned to set boundaries, saying no to things that didn't align with her values and needs. The change wasn't instant, and it wasn't always easy. There were times when Sarah slipped back into old patterns of self-criticism and endless self-improvement. But over time, she noticed a profound shift in her life. She felt more at peace, more present, and more alive. She started to enjoy her relationships more, to take pleasure in simple, everyday moments, and to pursue her passions without the constant pressure to be perfect. Perhaps the biggest change was in Sarah's relationship with herself. She no longer saw herself as a problem to be fixed, but as a whole and worthy person with both strengths and challenges. This self-acceptance allowed her to grow and change in ways that felt natural and authentic rather than forced. Sarah's transformation had a ripple effect on her life. As she became more accepting of herself, she found it easier to accept others too. Her relationships improved and she felt more connected to her community. She even found that her work became more fulfilling as she was able to focus on contributing her unique gifts rather than constantly trying to overcome her perceived shortcomings. Sarah's story shows us that breaking free from the cycle of endless healing isn't about giving up on growth or improvement. It's about approaching life from a place of wholeness and self-acceptance rather than lack and self-criticism. It's about living fully in the present rather than always preparing for some future version of ourselves. As we've seen through Sarah's story, there's a big difference between constant healing and natural growth. Constant healing comes from a place of lack. It's based on the belief that there's something wrong with us that needs to be fixed. Growth, on the other hand, is a natural process of expansion and development. Think about a tree. It doesn't strain or struggle to grow. It simply reaches towards the light, draws nourishment from the soil, and gradually becomes larger and stronger. In the same way, when we embrace growth rather than endless healing, we allow ourselves to unfold naturally, without force or strain. This shift from healing to growth is about changing our fundamental approach to life. Instead of always looking for what's wrong and trying to fix it, we focus on nurturing our strengths, exploring our interests, and allowing ourselves to evolve naturally over time. One of the biggest traps of endless healing is that it keeps us in a state of constant preparation. We're always getting ready to live, thinking that once we've healed this issue or overcome that challenge, then we'll be ready to fully engage with life. But life is happening right now, whether we feel ready or not. Embracing growth means fully participating in life as it is, right now. It means taking risks, trying new things, and allowing ourselves to learn and develop through our experiences. It's about saying yes to life, even when we don't feel perfectly prepared or completely healed. This doesn't mean ignoring our challenges or pretending everything is perfect. It means acknowledging our difficulties while also recognizing that we don't need to wait until everything is perfect before we can live fully. We can have challenges and still enjoy life, still pursue our goals, still connect deeply with others. When we shift from endless healing to embracing growth, we open ourselves up to the joy of discovery. Instead of always focusing on what's wrong, we can explore who we are with curiosity and openness. We can ask ourselves, what interests me? What brings me joy? What am I naturally good at? This approach to self-discovery is much more enjoyable and sustainable than endless healing. It allows us to grow and evolve in ways that feel authentic and aligned with who we truly are. And because it comes from a place of self-acceptance rather than self-criticism, it's much more likely to lead to lasting positive change. Breaking the cycle of endless healing is a journey, not a destination. It's about shifting from a mindset of lack and self-criticism to one of wholeness and self-acceptance. It's about recognizing that you are already complete, already worthy, already enough, right here, right now. This doesn't mean giving up on growth or improvement. Rather, it means approaching growth from a place of self-love and acceptance, allowing yourself to unfold naturally rather than forcing change. It means embracing all parts of yourself, your strengths and your challenges, your joys and your sorrows, and recognizing that all of these aspects make you who you are. Remember, you don't need to be fixed because you're not broken. You're a complex, multifaceted human being on a journey of growth and discovery. By practicing mindfulness, cultivating self-compassion, setting healthy boundaries, and connecting with something larger than yourself, you can break free from the exhausting cycle of endless healing. As you move forward, try to approach yourself and your life with curiosity and openness. Instead of always asking, "What's wrong with me?" Try asking, "What's right with me? What am I capable of? What brings me joy?" Allow yourself to explore, to make mistakes, to learn and grow. And most importantly, remember to live. Don't wait until you feel perfectly healed or completely ready. Engage with life now, with all its messiness and imperfection. Because it's through living, through loving, creating, exploring, and connecting that we truly grow and thrive. Breaking the cycle of endless healing isn't always easy, but it's incredibly rewarding. It opens up space for joy, authenticity, and genuine connection, both with ourselves and with others. So take a deep breath. Give yourself permission to be exactly as you are right now and step into the fullness of your life. You are whole, you are worthy, and you are enough, just as you are.